Coming up, I'm going to take you back in time. We're going back to 1986. What were you doing in 1986? Do you remember? Do you remember where you were, what your life was like, who you were hanging out with? Any significant moments? Do you remember the dreams you had for your life in 1986? Has your life changed much? For the better, I hope? Well, we're going back to 1986 for something that happened that I believe can be very telling and can help shape your future. And then I'm going to give you a process that when you follow it and apply it, will help you realize your goals. Stay tuned. Welcome to Shift or Get Off the Pot, the podcast that helps you get out of your head and into action so you can make your dreams your reality. Let's get to it. I have a story for you today, and it's a story about the 1986 World Series. Now, even if you don't like baseball, stay with me for a bit, because there is a lesson in here that will apply to your life. This is the story of a baseball player, once an outfielder, who became a first baseman. His name, Bill Buckner. He played for several different teams, including the Dodgers, the Chicago Cubs, and the Boston Red Sox. And that's where this story comes in. You see, in 1986, the Red Sox were in the World Series against the New York Mets. And in the early hours of an October morning, the game is tied. The game is in the 10th inning. They're already in extra innings. The Mets have a man in scoring position. He's on third, just 90 feet from home plate. Mookie Wilson gets up to bat. Bill Buckner is covering first base. The count is 3-2, meaning that this could be Wilson's last chance. But he connects with the ball. And he doesn't even hit it that hard. It's just a dribbler up the first baseline. And there's Bill Buckner. No problem. This is an easy out, especially for him. I mean, he was an all-star. He was voted onto the MVP list a few times. But the ball goes between his legs. And the Red Sox lose the game. And then they lose the World Series. Now, why is this important? Because, you see, just a few weeks earlier, Buckner was interviewed about the pressures of playing the World Series. And he told the reporter, well, the dreams are that you're going to have a great series and win. The nightmare, I guess, would be for me to let the winning run score on a ground ball through my legs. Those things happen. Language is powerful. Your brain is always listening to what you tell it. You have to put your brain to work for you, because your brain will operate from past experiences and limitations unless you make specific declarations. But here's what I think is also so interesting in Buckner's answer to the reporter. There's not much detail on winning the series, but there is a lot of detail, very clear detail on the loss. The nightmare, let the winning run score on a ground ball through my legs. That is detailed. Now, clearly that probably have happened in the past. It's baseball. That easily could have happened. It's not, though, that he said we could lose the game, we could give up a home run, or we could just lose the game. No, it is descriptive, overly descriptive. And your mind is always listening. Your mind's always listening. Now, you could easily say, come on, Kim, seriously? People say stuff like that in passing all the time. Yes, my point exactly. But the seed's already planted. Now, was it there before he said it? Well, yes. I mean, that's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, but think about this. It had to have been there, probably first because he thought about it. So the thought had to have been there. And again, possibly because it came from previous experience. It's baseball. That kind of stuff does happen in baseball, silly mistakes like that. But the thought was already there. And you have to remember that the subconscious mind is just this vast repository of our past experiences and the emotions that are tied to them. And then you may think, you cannot possibly watch everything you say. Well, okay, yes. But if it's important to you, you want to watch what you're saying and visualizing. And when it has to do with your goals, the goals that are important to you, you absolutely want to watch what you are saying and what you are seeing in your mind. Because success is in the details. Vague requests get vague results. You may remember another story, the story that Jim Carrey told Oprah Winfrey about writing himself a check when he was broke and certainly not a very successful actor at the time. And he told Oprah Winfrey, I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I future dated it to Thanksgiving of 1995. And then he said, I put it in my wallet and I kept it there. And it deteriorated and deteriorated. But then, just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million on Dumb and Dumber. Now, granted, he didn't just sit there and look at the check. He went to work. He went to auditions. He continued working on his comedy. He took action. You have to take action. Just like Bill Buckner practiced and played the game. But again, our brains are always listening. So it's important to pay attention to what your words are and what you're saying. Psychologists and scientists agree that there is a process for success. And when you follow the process consistently, your success becomes inevitable. And that process can be broken into, I think it can be broken into 7 steps. Now, I have read people that say 5 steps, 6 steps. I break it into 7 steps, and it starts as all things do within the mind. And when you apply the 7 steps, it will lead to the realization of your goals. So here are the steps. 1, decide exactly what you want in a certain area of life and write it down. Write it down clearly, in detail. Writing your goals forces you to crystallize what exactly you hope to accomplish. And this simple act has a way of just making your goal stick in your mind. And it gets your brain working on the details of making it happen. There have been plenty of studies on this about the point of writing it down. And it's around 40 to 45% that people are more likely to achieve their goals when they write them down. Well, the reason for this is just that the act of writing your goals down engages another sense. And anytime you employ more than one sense, you solidify the information and you take it deeper into your subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind, as we just saw, does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So the very act of writing your goals and adding another sense to the whole process of goal imaging actually impresses the goal upon your subconscious, giving you a far greater chance of achieving your goal than if you merely think about it. That's why you always hear people tell you, coaches, you'll hear psychologists, everyone's always saying, listen, you got to write your goals down. The second step, place your goal where you will see it daily. It could be a vision board. It could be a note that you carry in your wallet. You tape it to your bathroom mirror, put it on your computer's home screen. Get creative and find areas that you look at each and every day and place your goal in those areas. Now, obviously for Jim Carrey, he had the check in his wallet. So he saw that check every single day. He set a trigger for himself. And that's going to be the thing that you want to do. Anytime you see this, wherever you place it, it's going to set a trigger up for you. For him, it was a trigger for his mind to start seeing the image of him receiving the check for $10 million for his services rendered. Okay, the third step is to set a deadline for achieving the goal. And if it's a large goal, just break it down into smaller parts, incremental goals. I like to work in 90-day increments, and then I break those down into monthly, weekly, and daily actionable steps. So break your goals into bite-sized pieces. If it's easier for you to wrap your head around a smaller goal, then chunk them down. What do you have to do in the next 30 days to get to 1/3 of the way to your 90-day goal? Chunk it down. Fourth step. Make a list of everything that you have to do to achieve the goal. Now, this is a step that a lot of people just skip, and they don't think it's that important, but it is, because this allows you to schedule it. And you have to plan the work, and you have to work the plan. So as you think of new items, you just simply want to start adding them to your list until it's complete. You're going to get a better picture of what has to be done and what's going to be the most important task. What do you have to prioritize? The fifth step, identify the obstacles or the limitations that might be holding you back from achieving your goal, either in a situation externally or internally. So externally, for example, do you need transportation to help you get to your goal or achieve your goal? That's external. But you have to ask yourself, what could it be? You have to know what it is before you can deal with it. So if there's something that may be inside that might be going on, ask yourself, why haven't I achieved this goal already? When you start to ask yourself questions, you start to give yourself the ability to look at maybe some key indicators, some patterns that might be coming up that could be holding you back. Not just from the external ones, but the internal ones as well. And then you want to kind of look at those things, look at those patterns and say, okay, are there patterns here of my behavior? Are there limitations, some things that are going on here? Am I focusing my attention in the wrong direction? You have to pay attention to those items that seem to hold you back. You will start to notice the behaviors, the patterns that are getting in the way. And that's going to give you a key indications to where your belief is. Maybe your belief is waning. If you find yourself making excuses, procrastinating, getting caught up in planning or trying to perfect everything before you move forward, there's a strong chance that your belief is waning. But the good news is that it's fixable, because awareness is key. Awareness enables you to make the changes necessary to reprogram your mind for success and to move forward. Okay, the sixth step. Do at least one thing, just one thing every day that moves you towards your most important goal. Daily action. Daily action not only deepens your belief that the goal is achievable, but it creates this clarity, and the clarity builds the momentum. Momentum propels you forward. It encourages consistency. It simplifies decision-making, because when you're on a roll, you don't waste mental energy debating every single step. You follow the flow. That reduces the stress. And it enhances productivity. Productivity on the things that are actually doing something for you, moving you in the right direction. Okay, the seventh and final step, and I think this is really one of the most crucial steps to truly being able to manifest your goals, and that is practicing daily gratitude. Since manifestations come from our state of mind, then the quickest way to manifest is to assume the feeling of the goal realized. Gratitude is the thing that enables us to experience our goals as if they are already our reality. You can only manifest from the present moment, because that's all we have, here and now. That's all that exists. So it may sound counterintuitive, because you want something that is not in your current reality, but gratitude is the thing that actually bridges the gap between where you are presently, this state of being that we're in, right? And that which we desire. because it allows us to step into this emotional energy, which is required to create. And when you shift your energy from chasing your goals as if they're outside of you to knowing and being grateful that they are your current reality, they are part of you, you'll bring them to fruition. They're part of you because you have the idea for the goal, and you would not have that idea, you wouldn't have the desire without the ability to bring it to fruition. Everything is created twice, first in the mental realm and then in the physical realm. Just as the architect cannot possibly build the house unless the thought of what the house will look like is seen in mind first, your goals cannot be realized until you see them here first. You have to have the thought first. You envision them mentally. Gratitude unlocks the mental vision because it prevents you from having conflicting emotions. The grateful heart cannot be the fearful heart. It can't be both. Your desire to achieve a particular goal has within it the seeds to bring it to life. It absolutely has within it the seeds to bring it to life. So there you go. There's your 7 steps. And when you apply these consistently, they provide the nourishment necessary to thrive. I'm going to put a link to a copy of these 7 steps in the show notes down below. So if you want to refer back to them, you can grab that link and refer back to them. Thanks so much. And if you need a cheerleader in your court, just know I am here cheering you on. Thanks so much for joining me here today. If you want some help achieving your goals, you can grab the success bundle that is linked down below, or you can join the challenge that I have coming up. The challenge is designed to help you align with your goals, get out of your head, get into action so you can achieve what it is that you say you want. You have the ability. Let's just get going and get it done. I'll be back again soon with another episode of Shift or Get Off the Pot.